You need to watch this if you crave chills down your spine. Welcome to Soul Studios. Here, true crime meets the unknown. Suspense lurks in every shadow, and supernatural forces whisper from the dark. We craft chilling, edge-of-your-seat short stories inspired by the eerie, the unexplained, and the most haunting mysteries. 3 new stories drop every week, each one darker than the last. Are you ready to step inside? Subscribe now before the next story finds you.
In The Babysitter's Secret, a college student named Mara takes a last-minute babysitting job at an old eerie house, only to discover that the family harbours a chilling secret. When a mysterious VHS tape marked with a faded pink label catches the child's attention, Mara is warned not to play it. But curiosity and a night of terrifying events force her hand. What begins as a simple cartoon descends into a haunted vision of a ghostly mother searching for her stolen child, a cult's dark history, and a horrifying ultimatum. A soul for a soul. Told in terrifying detail, this slow-burn supernatural thriller builds to an emotional and devastating conclusion that will haunt you long after it ends. If you love atmospheric horror, cursed tapes, and stories where every decision could be your last, subscribe now to Soul Studios Presents. Hit the bell so you never miss a story, because some secrets don't stay buried, and some tapes watch you back.
I take a deep breath before knocking on the old wooden door. It's a cool autumn evening, and the sun has just slipped below the horizon. My fingers tremble slightly. First day jitters, I tell myself. This is my first time babysitting for the Masons, and the house already feels different from the others. The air carries a faint smell of dust and dried roses, as if the house itself is holding its breath with me. Mrs. Mason swings the door open with a warm smile. She's dressed for a night out, perfume heavy in the air. Little Lila peeks from behind her mother's legs with wide, curious eyes. Lila looks to be about 6, with curly auburn hair and a shy smile. I kneel and wave hello, my backpack slung over one shoulder, filled with homework I'll pretend to do once she's asleep. "Hi, Mara. Thank you so much for coming on short notice," Mrs. Mason says, ushering me inside. The foyer light is dim, casting long shadows down the hallway. "No problem at all," I reply, stepping in and wiping my feet on the doormat. The floorboards beneath the rug creak gently under my weight, as if greeting me too. Mr. Mason appears from the living room, buttoning his coat. He gives me a quick nod and friendly grin. "Lila's been fed, and her bedtime is 8:30, he explains. "We left emergency numbers on the fridge, and you can help yourself to anything in the kitchen." Mrs. Mason chimes in. There are some kids get VHS tapes on the shelf in the living room if she gets bored or fussy. She loves the old cartoons. Her voice has a slight edge of hesitation at that last part, but I brush it off, assuming she's just anxious about leaving her child. I walk with Lila into the living room as the parents gather their coats. The house is cozy but old. The furniture is vintage, and along one wall stands a large wooden cabinet with a television on top. To my surprise, it's not a flat screen like most homes these days, but an older model with a built-in VHS player. Stacks of VHS tapes line the shelves of the cabinet, their spines marked with handwritten labels. I smile at the nostalgia. I haven't seen a VHS tape since I was a little kid. Lila tugs my hand lightly. "Can we watch a cartoon before bed?" she asks softly. Her voice is so small, I almost don't hear it at first. I glance at the analog clock on the wall. We have about half an hour till bedtime. "Sure thing," I say, happy to oblige. "Which one is your favourite?" Lila's eyes drift to the cabinet, but she doesn't move to pick a tape. For a moment, she just stares as if thinking hard. Then she points to a VHS with a faded pink sticker on its spine, sitting slightly apart from the others. The tape has no title, just the faint remains of some marker that has been scribbled out. "Not that one, sweetie," Mrs. Mason interjects quickly, stepping over to us. She has her purse in hand and a strained smile on her face. "That tape it's not a cartoon. Why don't you choose from these here?" She quickly shuffles some tapes around, nudging the one with the pink sticker toward the back of the shelf. I catch a glimpse of her expression. Her eyes look almost fearful for a split second. Lila pouts a little, but then nods and picks a different tape with a cheerful label. Mrs. Mason hands it to me. "This one is good," she says, regaining her composure. I insert the tape and turn on the old TV. As the screen warms up with a soft static hum, I glance back at the front door. Mr. Mason is holding it open, waiting for his wife. Mrs. Mason hesitates, then looks directly at me. "Oh, one more thing," she says, almost as an afterthought. "Lila sometimes has nightmares or hears noises at night. If she wakes up scared, just comfort her and put on her favourite tape. That usually calms her down." Her tone is kind, but there's something odd lurking beneath her words. I nod. Of course, no problem. With that, she gives a last anxious smile. Mr. Mason gently pulls her arm, whispering something I can't make out. They both wave goodbye and step out into the dusk, the heavy door thudding shut behind them. Lila climbs onto the couch as the cartoon begins to play, the cheerful music momentarily brightening the gloomy living room. I sit beside her there, trying to shake off the strange feeling from Mrs. Mason's warning. The house is quiet, except for the tinny sounds of cartoon characters and our breathing. The soft glow of the TV dances across the walls, revealing the antique decorations, old family portraits, porcelain figurines, and a grandfather clock ticking methodically in the corner. As I relax, I notice one portrait on the wall I hadn't seen before. It shows the Mason family, Mr. Mason, Mrs. Mason, and a younger Lila, standing in front of this very house. But there's something off that sends a small prickle up my arms. Behind them, in an upper window of the house, a vague shape, almost like a face, seems to be peering out. It's probably just a trick of the light or an imperfection in the old photograph. I shake my head and blink, and in the next flash of the TV's light, I only see darkness in that window. The cartoon ends with a jingle, and I realise Lila has fallen asleep, curled up against my arm. It's a little past her bedtime now. I eject the tape, turn off the TV and carefully pick her up. She's surprisingly light as I carry her up the creaking stairs to her bedroom. Each step complains under my weight, and I move slowly both to keep from waking her and because the hallway ahead is dark. Her room is at the end of the hall. I nudge the door open with my foot. The room is painted a soft lavender and lit by a dim butterfly-shaped nightlight. I lay Lila on her bed and pull the blankets over her small frame. She stirs just a little and murmurs something in her sleep as I tuck her stuffed rabbit beside her. As I tiptoe out, I notice something on her nightstand, a baby monitor base. I remember seeing its counterpart in the kitchen earlier. The Masons did mention she sometimes wakes up. At least I'll hear her if she calls for me. I leave the door open a crack and head back downstairs. In the kitchen, I find the baby monitor receiver and switch it on. A soft static fuzz comes to life, mixed with the gentle sound of Lila's breathing from the speaker. Satisfied that it's working, I set it on the countertop. Now that Lila is asleep, the house feels even quieter. The ticking of the grandfather clock in the living room sounds louder now. The refrigerator hums softly. I decide to tidy up a bit and maybe have a snack. As I'm putting away a couple of dishes left in the sink, I notice on the fridge an old yellowed piece of paper under a magnet. It's a list of emergency contacts, just like Mr. Mason said, but one line catches my eye. Scrawled in pen at the bottom are the words, "If you hear crying, then scratched out." That's odd. The note looks old, maybe from a previous babysitter or an earlier time. Why would someone write about crying? And why scratch it out? A chill runs down my spine. I suddenly remember Mrs. Mason's parting words. She sometimes hears noises at night. I had assumed she meant typical creaks or the wind. But crying? I shake off the uneasy feeling, telling myself it might have been an unrelated note or even a prank by an older note writer. Still, I carefully pull the paper from under the magnet and fold it into my pocket. I tell myself it's just so I don't forget any instructions, but really I don't want that cryptic message glaring at me from the fridge for the rest of the night. With the house clean and quiet, I settle at the kitchen table with an old textbook. Time to catch up on some reading for school. The silence grows thicker as I read, broken only by the occasional rustle of pages and the distant tick-tick-tock of the clock. I pause, ears perked. The sound was faint, a thump or knock, I'm not sure. Probably the house settling, or maybe the wind knocking a shutter. I wait a moment, straining to hear anything unusual. The baby monitor hisses softly with static, but I don't hear Lila stirring. Shrugging, I return to my book. Just as I start to find my place, I hear it again, a soft thump followed by what sounds like a sob. My heart skips. I raise my head, listening more intently. This time, there's no mistaking it. A muffled, distant crying sound, very soft, echoes somewhere upstairs. It's not coming through the baby monitor, but I can hear it faintly in the air, as if the sound is seeping through the walls. It doesn't sound like Lila. It's too soft, and it almost sounds like an adult woman quietly sobbing. I stand slowly, my chair scraping the floor. The crying continues, persistent and sorrowful. Every instinct in me prickles with uncertainty. Could it be the TV left on? No, I turned it off. Another TV somewhere? Or maybe Mrs. Mason left a radio on? My pulse quickens as I step into the hall. The sound is coming from above, maybe the attic or a second-floor room beyond Lila's. I recall the layout. Aside from Lila's room, there's a master bedroom and a door at the far end that was closed. The Masons hadn't mentioned a third bedroom or an attic, but older houses often have dusty storage rooms. The crying drifts down the stairwell, louder now that I'm in the hallway by the foot of the stairs. It's unmistakable, the soft weeping of a woman. Goosebumps pebble my arms. I suddenly remember the photograph in the living room and that vague face in the window. My mouth goes dry. Gathering my courage, I grip the banister and start to climb back up the stairs, one cautious step at a time. Each footfall seems too loud and I flinch at every creak. The crying continues, drawing me up like a dark lullaby. Part of me wants to call out, "Hello," but I can't bring myself to break the hush. Something about the sound feels fragile. Or maybe I'm afraid of what might answer. At the top of the stairs, the air is colder. I rub my arms and glance towards Leela's room. Her door is still open a crack, and I hear nothing from inside. She's likely still peacefully asleep. The crying isn't coming from there. It's definitely behind the other door at the end of the hallway, the one that was closed earlier. I approach it slowly. It's an old white door with a brass knob. A decorative cross hangs on it, which strikes me as a bit odd for a guest room decoration. The sobbing is definitely louder here, as if someone is on the other side, crying into their hands. My heart is hammering now. This could be an intruder. Maybe someone stayed behind, or a neighbour who wandered in. But how would they get in a locked house? And why would they just cry? I muster a whisper, hardly audible over the muffled weeping. "Hello? Is someone there?" My voice sounds small and shaky. The crying stops immediately, cut off as if it was never there. I am left standing in dead silence, my ear inches from the wooden door. I realise I've been holding my breath and let it out in a shudder. I reach for the doorknob, fingers trembling, locked. It doesn't turn at all. I try again, jiggling it quietly. The door is locked tight. From inside comes nothing. No movement, no voice, just silence and the faint smell of something old like mothballs and vinegar. The scent is so strange and specific, it makes me pull back for a moment. Suddenly, a soft voice comes from right behind me. "Mara?" I spin around so fast I nearly lose my balance. It's Leela, standing barefoot in her pyjama dress just a few steps behind me in the dark hall. Her eyes are wide with sleepiness and confusion. "Leela, hey!" I whisper, hand pressed to my chest, trying to calm my racing heart. "What are you doing up, honey?" I glance nervously back at the locked door. My mind is reeling. Did Lila hear the crying too? Lila rubs her eyes. "You heard it, didn't you?" she asks in a hushed tone. Her innocence makes the question chilling. I crouch down to her level, trying to keep my voice steady. "Heard what, sweetie?" I ask, hoping she'll say something that makes sense of this, something normal like a stray cat or the wind. "The crying lady," Lila replies matter-of-factly with a hint of fear. "She cries every night." Every hair on the back of my neck stands up. Lila steps closer and slips her little hand into mine. Her fingers are cold. "Mommy and Daddy said I should ignore her. They said she won't hurt me, but—" Her lower lip quivers. She sounds so sad. My mouth is dry. I struggle to find a reassuring answer. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. I manage softly. Maybe a neighbour or... I trail off. Who am I kidding? The sound clearly came from this house. Lila's eyes shift to the door behind me. Sometimes I talk to her. I tell her it's okay. She whispers this as if sharing a secret. But Mommy got mad when I told her. She said never to talk to the crying lady again. I swallow hard. The cryptic note on the fridge, the scratched out, "If you hear crying," flashes in my mind. Is this what it was referring to? Did a previous babysitter hear this too? I squeeze Lila's hand gently. Thank you for telling me, I whisper. Let's get you back to bed, okay? It's late. She nods, looking relieved just to have me there. I walk her back to her room, casting one last glance over my shoulder at the silent locked door. A tremor of unease runs through me. Down the hall, just as we reach Lila's door, I hear a faint single sob emanate from behind that door, just one short cry that quickly fades. I freeze, and Lila looks up at me with frightened eyes. It's okay, I assure her, though my voice shakes. I usher her into her room and tuck her back into bed. She clings to my hand. Will you stay? She pleads softly. Just until I sleep? I nod and sit on the edge of her bed. Of course, I'll be right here. She keeps hold of my hand as her eyes drift shut. I hum a soft lullaby, something my mom used to sing, hoping to drown out any other noises. My heart is still pounding from the encounter, but I force myself to appear calm for Lila's sake. After a few minutes, her breathing steadies, and she's asleep again. I gently slip my hand free and brush a curl from her face. As I tiptoe out, I take one last look at her, small and peaceful, as if the strange weeping in the hall is just a bad dream that's passed. I close her door most of the way, leaving only a few inches open. In the hall, the air feels heavy. I should call someone, the Masons, maybe. But what would I even say? That I heard a ghost? Maybe I should call the police if this is an intruder or someone in the house. That's serious. Yet the sound was so unnatural. Who would believe me? I decide to head downstairs to the phone. My cell phone is in my backpack, but I remember noticing earlier that my signal was weak out here. The Masons' landline is my best bet for any call. I hurry quietly down the stairs, jumping slightly when one of the steps groans loudly beneath me. In the living room, the only light comes from the faintly glowing embers in the fireplace and the moonlight filtering through lace curtains. I make my way to the phone on an end table by the couch and lift the receiver to my ear. Nothing. No dial tone. Just dead air. I click the receiver a few times. The line is silent. Could the phone be out? Maybe the storm last week knocked something out that they haven't fixed? Or did she somehow cause it? My heart sinks. I pull out my cell phone from my pocket and see one bar of service. It's better than nothing. I quickly text Mrs. Mason. Hi, it's Mara. Everything's fine. Lila is asleep, but I heard some strange noises. Is there any chance someone else is here? I'm probably just imagining it, but I wanted to check. I keep it as casual as I can. I hit send. The message struggles, then fails to deliver. Frustrated, I try calling her cell directly. It rings once, twice, then cuts to silence. The call dropped. No reception after all. A sense of isolation closes in on me. I'm on my own. I set the phone down and run a hand through my hair. Keep it together, Mara. I recall the VHS tapes and Mrs. Mason's parting advice. Put on her favourite tape if she wakes up scared. Lila was scared, and frankly so am I. Maybe I should take that advice. Perhaps her favourite cartoon could drown out the crying if it starts again, help us both relax. And maybe it was a real person and the noise of the TV would discourage them from coming out. Or if it's something else, maybe the tape has answers. A gut feeling I can't explain makes my stomach knot. I move to the cabinet and open the door. The tapes are neatly lined up. In the dim light, I see the faded pink sticker on the one Lila first pointed to, the one Mrs. Mason pushed aside. Something about that tape, the way Mrs. Mason reacted, sticks in my mind. Why was she so quick to dismiss it? She said it wasn't a cartoon, perhaps an old home video? I reach in and pick up the tape with the pink sticker. There's no title, but now that it's in my hand, I notice the sticker once had something written on it long ago, which has been scribbled out with black marker. The residue of letters under the scribble looks like might spell Leela. Did this belong to Leela? Maybe a baby video or something? If so, why hide it? A sense of unease radiates from the cassette. It feels cold in my hand, as if it's been in a freezer. Absurd, I think, but I find myself shivering. I glance up the stairs, listening for any hint of crying. Silence. Only the creaks of the old house and the hum of the fridge remain. Maybe the nightmare is over for tonight. Maybe I shouldn't meddle. But what if it isn't over? The idea of sitting here in the quiet, waiting for that crying to start again, is unbearable. And if this tape does have something, anything, that could explain what's happening, maybe I should watch it My eyes fall on the note in my pocket. I unfold it and by the faint kitchen light read the scratched out words again. If you hear crying. Whoever wrote that clearly experienced the same thing. Maybe they left something on this tape. A clue? A message? My curiosity and dread war within me, each breath I take feeling heavier. Finally, I whisper to myself, okay, just a quick look. I don't know who I'm trying to reassure. Maybe the empty house or whatever might be listening. I slide the tape into the VHS player and turn on the TV again. The screen flickers to life with static. I make sure the volume is low, not wanting to wake Lila. I sit on the carpet, right in front of the screen, remote in hand, thumb hovering over the stop button in case I need to turn it off fast. For a moment, the TV screen is black. Then white text appears, shaky and flickering. Play me. The words send a jolt through me. The phrase is handwritten, as if on a piece of paper held in front of the camera. Play me? I thought that's what I was doing. My fingers tense and I lean in unconsciously. The screen cuts to what looks like footage of the very living room I'm in, only it's daylight in the video. The camera is unsteady, as if someone is holding it, breathing heavily. There's whispering on the audio, but I can't make it out. On the tape, the camera moves toward the staircase, and I recognize the layout. Whoever is filming walks up the stairs just like I did moments ago. Each step on the tape produces a distorted creak that makes me feel those steps in my bones. The camera moves down the hallway to that locked door. I'm transfixed. I know I should stop watching. Every instinct is screaming at me that this is not a good idea, but I can't look away. On screen, the camera turns toward the door with the cross. A man's voice, low, raspy, and distressed, whispers from the speakers. She's always crying. We have to help her. I glance behind me instinctively, but of course, nobody's there. The voice seems both compassionate and eerie. It sends chills through me. The camera pans to the door. A hand reaches out, the camera operator's hand, and, to my shock, the door opens for him. It wasn't locked in the video. The room inside is dark, but the camera's night vision kicks in with a greenish hue. I see the outline of furniture, a crib against the wall, a rocking chair, and, oh God, a figure sitting in the rocking chair. It's a woman, or the shadow of a woman in a white gown, long dark hair obscuring her face. She's the one crying. The sound is clearer now on the tape, a soft sobbing. The person filming steps closer slowly. Don't be afraid, he whispers. His voice trembles. I'm here, I'll listen. Suddenly the woman's crying stops. On the tape, she lifts her head slightly. Though her hair hides most of her face, I see one glinting eye reflecting the camera's light. It looks black and cold. I realise I'm leaning so close to the TV that my nose is almost touching the glass. My breath fogs the screen slightly. The voice on the tape speaks again, more urgent. What do you want me to do? It sounds like the cameraman is addressing the crying woman. For a moment, there's only a low static hiss. Then the woman on screen moves in a jerky, unnatural way. Her hand shoots out and grabs the camera or the person holding it. The picture jolts and I hear the man gasp. She speaks. The woman's voice is a ragged whisper, but I make it out clearly. Find me. Suddenly the screen erupts in harsh static, and a screeching sound like nails on a chalkboard rips through the speakers. I yelp and drop the remote. The image warps, shapes twisting. For a split second, I think I see the woman's face fill the screen, a gaunt, hollow-cheeked face with sunken eyes and a gaping mouth as if she's screaming silently. I fumble for the remote, heart hammering, ready to stop the tape, but before I can, the screen goes entirely black. Silence. Did the tape end? My reflection faintly appears on the dark glass, wide-eyed and pale. Then new text appears in jagged white letters. Will you help her? My blood turns to ice. The question hangs there on the screen, flickering. My mouth is dry. I can't swallow. The question feels directed at me. I should turn this off. I should have never played it. Before I can move, the image changes again. Now I see a different room on the tape. It's the kitchen. The same kitchen I'm sitting in, only it's daytime and there's someone there. A woman stands in front of the fridge, writing something on a piece of paper. I squint. She looks familiar. The camera angle is odd, low to the ground, as if someone left a camera on the floor, filming upwards secretly. The woman steps away and I see what she's written. If you hear crying, don't come. She immediately starts scratching out the last two words until they're illegible. She looks nervously off to the side, like she hears something, maybe a cry. I recognise her now. It's Mrs. Mason, but she appears younger, or just far more stressed, her face pale. Her hands shake as she sticks the paper on the fridge with a magnet, that same paper now in my pocket. My heart is in my throat. Mrs. Mason knew. She knew about the crying and tried to warn someone. On the tape, Mrs. Mason suddenly looks directly toward the camera, her eyes wide in alarm. There's a loud crash behind her and she screams, but the image cuts out immediately, returning to static. I'm breathing hard. This is no ordinary tape. It's showing me things that feel live or alive, like it's responding to me, guiding me, or warning me. I finally grab the remote and mash the stop button with a trembling finger. The tape resists at first, as if it doesn't want to stop playing, but then the VCR whirs and the screen goes blue, then to the soft, snowy static of no signal. I slump back, realizing only now how tense every muscle in my body is. My hands are ice cold, and I wipe clammy sweat from my palms onto my jeans. I don't have time to process everything I saw. The house jolts with a sudden noise above me. A door slams shut with violent force. I jump to my feet, heart in my throat. The whole ceiling above me seems to shake with that slam. It came from the second floor. From that room. An angry scream erupts down the stairwell, high and shrill, a wail of rage and pain combined. It's the same voice that whispered, "Find me on the tape." The crying woman, but now full of fury. Lila. My mind snaps to the little girl upstairs. I have to get to her now. A whisper drifts out from the black room, so soft I barely catch it. Leela! It draws out my young charge's name in a sing-song hush. Lila stiffens in my arms and a surge of protective anger rises through my fear. Leave her alone! I shout into the darkness, my voice cracking. I can't see anything beyond that half-open door, just pitch black. From the shadows comes a sound like a distorted laugh or a sob. I can't tell which. Then the door, as if hit by a powerful force, slams itself shut again with a deafening crash. The impact knocks a framed photo off the wall. It shatters on the floor. That's it. I turn and fly down the stairs with Lila in my arms. She's clinging to me, face pressed into my shoulder, crying. My heart is pounding so hard I feel it in my throat. We reach the front door. I fumble with the deadbolt, my sweaty fingers slipping, but I manage to turn it. I grab the knob and pull. The door refuses to open. It's like yanking on a cement wall. I jolt the knob harder, rattling it against the lock. It's definitely unlocked, but it won't budge. Please, I cry out, voice high with panic. Not sure if I'm pleading with the house or whatever haunts it. I set Lila down for just a second and use both hands to tug with all my might. The door gives an inch, enough to let in a blade of cool night air, then slams itself shut again, nearly wrenching my arms with it. I choke back a sob. We're trapped. Behind us, lights throughout the house start flickering. The lamps dim, then blaze, then go out completely, plunging us into darkness. Lila screams and grabs my leg. I snatch her back into my arms. Think, Mara, think. The back door through the kitchen, maybe that one? I sprint toward the kitchen, holding Lila tightly. Halfway there, the television in the living room blasts on by itself, flooding the room with static and white noise. The volume is at max. The sound is so loud and sudden that I scream. On the TV screen, through the dancing snow of static, I can just make out a shape. The silhouette of a woman standing in a dark hallway. It looks like the upstairs hall. It's as if the TV is showing what's happening right above us. The figure on screen has her head tilted down, long hair falling across her face. Even through the distortion, I feel her eyes on me. Lila buries her face in my neck, sobbing. I grip my teeth and lunge for the power strip, yanking it to kill the TV. The screen goes dark, the static cuts off. We reach the kitchen and I nearly cry with relief, seeing the glass sliding door that leads to the backyard. If I can get it open, maybe we can slip out and run for help. I shift Lila onto my hip and grab the handle of the sliding door. It's stiff, but I manage to push it open about a foot before, like the front door, it slams itself shut. The force is so strong I stumble backward. I grip my teeth and try again, wedging my foot against the wall for leverage. At first it won't move, then suddenly it flies open violently, the handle ripping out of my hand. For an instant, cool night air and the smell of wet grass wash over us. But before I can step through, the door crashes closed once more, this time so hard that the glass spiderwebs with cracks. I yelp, shielding Lila's head. The glass miraculously holds, but it's shattered, and the door is jammed tight. Tears blur my eyes. There's no way out. The house has us. The baby monitor on the counter erupts with noise, making me jump. Not static now, but a voice. It's faint and distant, singing a lullaby. My breath catches. It's the same lullaby I hummed to Lila earlier, but I'm not singing it now. The voice is gentle, almost tender, but distorted through the monitor's tiny speaker. Lila whimpers. That's her. She's in my room. My stomach twists. If the transmitter is in Lila's bedroom, then something is in there, humming our lullaby. I have to stop this. I have to face her. Clutching Lila, I peek around the kitchen doorway toward the stairs. The upstairs is almost completely dark, but I notice a faint orange glow, maybe from Lila's nightlight, casting strange, flickering shadows on the landing. My heart lurches. It looks like a candle's glow, not the steady light of her nightlight. I gently set Lila down behind the kitchen island, where she'll be somewhat hidden. "Stay here, sweetie," I whisper. She immediately shakes her head and clings to me, eyes wild with fear. I cup her face in my hands. "I'll be right back, I promise. I have to check on something." My voice shakes, but I try to sound confident. "If I'm not back in 5 minutes, run to the front door and scream for help, okay?" She sniffles, too terrified to speak, but she nods, tears spilling down her cheeks. She slides to the floor, hugging her stuffed rabbit to her chest, trying to make herself as small as possible. "Be brave for me," I say softly. She bites her lip and nods again. I force myself to turn away and head for the stairs. Every muscle in my body screams at me to stay with Lila, to protect her. But I know this entity, this crying lady, needs to be confronted if we have any chance of escaping. The lullaby on the baby monitor continues to echo softly behind me as I ascend. The tune is haunting now, its sweetness warped by the circumstances. As I reach the top, the humming stops abruptly, as if whoever, whatever, is singing knows I've come. I stand on the landing, heart pounding. The door to Lila's room is wide open now, but the nightlight is off. It's completely dark inside, not the source of that glow after all. The soft orange flicker is coming from the other end of the hall, the locked room. The door is ajar, and a dim light dances on the threshold. I creep towards it, pulse racing in my ears. The air grows colder and carries that faint vinegar scent I noticed earlier. My legs feel like they might give out, but I force one foot in front of the other. When I reach the door, I press myself against the wall and slowly peek through the gap. Inside, the room looks like a nursery frozen in time. By the pale flicker of candlelight, I can make out pale wallpaper with faded cartoon animals, a mobile of stars and moons above a crib, and a rocking chair in the corner. The candle sits on a small table beside the chair, its flame weak and wavering. Next to it, an old VHS camcorder is positioned on the table facing the rocking chair, as if set up to film. The chair itself rocks gently back and forth, and in it sits her, the woman in white, head bowed, long dark hair cascading over her face. She cradles a bundle in her arms, wrapped in a dingy blanket the way you'd swaddle an infant. She's humming quietly, that same lullaby, but now with a raw, grief-stricken undertone that makes my eyes sting with tears. I swallow the lump in my throat and, gathering every ounce of courage, push the door open a bit further. It lets out a drawn-out creak. "Hello?" I manage, my voice barely more than a breath. The rocking stops. Her lullaby dies out on a single cracked note. The woman in the chair goes still, though she doesn't yet look up. I saw you on the tape," I stammer. "I know you're sad and angry. I want to help you, truly." My words hang in the air. She responds with a slight tilt of her head, as if considering my presence. Encouraged that she hasn't attacked me yet, I step fully into the room, though my legs are shaking. The cold is intense here. I can see my breath like smoke. "Is there something you need?" I ask softly. My eyes flick to the bundle in her arms. "Your baby? Do you need help finding your baby?" At that, a gut-wrenching sob rips from her. She clutches the bundle tightly to her chest. "They took her from me," she rasps. Her voice layers over itself, one tone filled with sorrow, the other a gravely anger. I flinch at the sound, but hold my ground. "Who?" I whisper. "Who took her? The ones who promised safety, who gave me hope," she hisses. "They took my baby for their darkness." The last word comes out a snarl. Understanding hits me like a punch. She's talking about a cult. The Masons? Someone before them? Perhaps this house belonged to people who did something terrible. Maybe even the Masons themselves. My stomach churns. Before I can ask anything else, a terrified scream pierces the air from downstairs. "Mara!" Lila's voice. I hear her footsteps pounding on the first floor. She must have gotten scared and left her hiding spot. My head whips toward the door. I take a step back, instinct screaming to go to Lila, but the ghost's voice lashes out. "Stay!" The nursery door slams shut behind me, the lock clicking. I lunge and grab the knob, twisting and pulling. It doesn't budge. I'm locked in here with her. I pound on the door with my fist. "Lila, I'm coming!" I shout, voice cracking. From the other side, I hear Lila's sobbing cries and the faint thump-thump of her tiny fists on the door. My heart twists painfully. "Mara," the ghost croons behind me, drawing my name out sweetly. I press my back against the door and face her. She has not moved from the chair, but her head is now tilted in my direction. Through the veil of hair, I see the candlelight glint off her eyes, 2 pinpoints of reflected light fixed on me. "They lied to me," she says softly, a tremor of rage underlying the sadness in her tone. "Said if I gave them what they wanted, we'd all be saved. But it was a lie. He betrayed us." A violent shudder passes through her and the lights flicker. I don't know who he is, but I can imagine. A cult leader, maybe even Mr. Mason or someone like him. Lightning flashes outside, illuminating the room in stark white for an instant. In that flash, I see her face clearly, and I almost wish I hadn't. Her skin is ash-grey, stretched tight over high cheekbones. Her eyes are abyssal black hollows, wide and unblinking. Her lips are withered and parted as if mid-wail, and there are dark streaks down her cheeks, dried blood tears. I slap a hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. The room plunges into flickering candlelight again. She's on her feet now, so fast I didn't see her rise. One moment she was sitting, the next she's standing only a few feet away from me. The bundle still hangs in one arm, but I can see now nothing is inside it. It hangs limp, an empty cradle of cloth. I press harder against the door, my mind racing. On the other side, I hear a new sound mixing with Lila's sobs, a deep male voice chanting something rhythmic and ominous. It vibrates through the walls. Is it real or another memory? The cult ritual replaying? I feel like I'm being pulled apart by terror and confusion, but I know one thing. This spirit wants something. Maybe if I give it to her, she'll let Lila go. I swallow hard and force myself to speak, keeping my voice gentle but urgent. "What do you want from me? How can I help you? So you can move on and leave this house." She stops inches away. The cold radiating off her is so intense I can see frost forming on the nearby crib railing. Her free hand, bone-thin and deathly pale, lifts toward my chest. I'm too frightened to move as she presses a single finger against my sternum. It's like a dagger of ice plunging into me. I gasp at the sudden pain and chill spreading through my body. In a whisper that cuts through my mind like a razor, she answers, "A soul for a soul. Blood for blood." I stare at her, teeth chattering from the cold seeping into me. I don't understand. Her finger trails up and taps the center of my chest, right over my heart. "Their child or you. Only then I rest," she breathes. "Their child or me. Lila or me. A sacrifice." My heart feels like it stops. She's giving me an ultimatum. An innocent little girl or myself to atone for the one she lost. Tears sting my eyes. I think of Lila's sweet face, her laughter during the cartoon, of the way she trusted me utterly when I promised her it would be okay. I think of my own life. I'm only 19, I have plans, dreams, a family who's expecting me home safe. Every survival instinct in me screams to choose myself, but how could I ever live with myself if I let Lila be harmed? My throat tightens with a sob. My lips tremble, but I force the words out. "Take me, but leave Lila alone. Let her live." The ghost's head cocks to one side. The anger in her aura seems to recede a bit, replaced by something like curiosity. Through the door, the chanting grows louder, echoing dangerously. The house itself feels like it's trembling with tension. "You would give yourself for the child?" she asks, voice distorted, half skeptical, half hopeful. My eyes never leave the shadow of her face. "Yes," I whisper, strangely calm now. "Just promise me she'll be safe, that it ends with me." She regards me for a long moment, utterly still, except for the slight flicker of candlelight through her hair. Then, slowly, she tilts her head back. A sigh pours out of her, heavy with centuries of sorrow. "So be it," she murmurs. The candle on the table extinguishes itself, plunging us into near darkness. Outside, the chanting stops on a final guttural word, leaving a ringing silence. The nursery door behind me swings open on its own. I stumble backward as it releases, but the hall beyond is empty now. No Lila. Did she run? Is she hiding? My impulse is to call out, but the ghost steps forward, blocking my path. Her tall form stands between me and the door like a pale shroud. Before I can react, she leans in. I flinch, but she presses her lips to my forehead in a cold, deathly kiss. It's so cold it burns. My vision explodes into white. I collapse to my knees, head swimming, body completely numbed by that icy touch. Somewhere above me, I hear her voice intoning softly, "Your sacrifice is accepted. Join the circle, child." The word child echoes strangely, as if more voices whisper it in unison. All at once, images pour into my mind in a torrent. I see a midnight gathering in this nursery, people in dark robes chanting, the same chant I heard. I see a young woman, the ghost when she was alive, sobbing as robed figures pry a newborn from her arms. I see Mr. and Mrs. Mason among those figures, their faces streaked with tears, but resolute as an infant is placed on the crib, and a knife glints, and blood pools on the floorboards where I now kneel. I see flash after flash of other nights, other babysitters maybe, drawn into this same ritual, wide-eyed with fear. Some ran, some offered themselves like I did. Each time the entity demanded a trade, a life for the life stolen from her. I can't tell if I'm screaming or silent. The visions overwhelm me. Then, as quickly as they came, they're gone. I find myself sprawled at the top of the stairs. My head pounds. The house is dead quiet except for the distant rumble of thunder. The ghost is gone. The nursery door is closed as if it was never open, and I feel strangely at peace. Empty, but calm. It's over. I think I've done it. "Lila!" I croak out, my throat raw. There's no response from upstairs. With a surge of adrenaline, I haul myself up and half stumble, half slide down the staircase. Lightning flashes in the windows as I reach the ground floor. In its glare, I see a small figure curled up in the living room armchair. "Lila." I rush over, nearly tripping on a throw rug. "Lila!" She lifts her head at my voice. Her face is streaked with tears, her eyes swollen from crying. When she sees me, she launches herself from the chair and into my arms with a broken cry. I hug her fiercely, feeling her warmth and the steady beating of her little heart against me. She's okay. She's okay. She's sobbing so hard she can barely speak. "I thought you were gone," she hiccups. I cradle her head and rock her gently. "Shh, I'm here, I whisper, my own tears finally flowing. Relief, grief, exhaustion, it all hits me at once. The storm outside has quieted to a gentle rain. In the dim grey light of early dawn beginning to peek through the curtains, the living room looks normal again. Just a cosy room with old decor, no signs of the nightmare that happened. Lila's cries eventually fade into soft whimpers. I stay with her on the couch, holding her close under a knitted blanket. She refuses to let go of me, and I wouldn't dream of leaving her. At some point, she dozes off from sheer exhaustion, curled against my side like a limpet. I stroke her hair absent-mindedly, staring into space. My body feels numb and heavy. There's a dull ache spreading through my chest, and a bone-deep cold I can't shake. The first pale hint of morning is lightening the windows. The power seems to be back. A lamp we never turned off is gently illuminating the room. Everything is quiet, peaceful even. A wave of fatigue crashes over me. I realise I haven't truly slept all night. My eyes feel so heavy. Maybe I can close them, just for a minute, just to rest. I jolt as Lila stirs with a soft whine. She blinks sleepily and her small hand touches my arm. "You're so cold," she mumbles. I manage a weak smile. "Just tired, sweetie." She sits up a little, her face anxious as she examines me. In the growing light, I must look awful. She reaches to adjust the blanket around my shoulders and suddenly freezes. Her hand comes away wet and red. I follow her gaze down to my shirt. My heart stutters. A dark, wet patch is blooming over my chest, right where the ghost touched me. As dawn brightens the room further, we see it clearly, blood seeping through my shirt, spreading like an expanding rose. I feel no pain, only a deepening cold. It's as if that icy finger that pressed into me left a wound where all my warmth is leaking out. I press my palm to it. My fingers come away crimson. There's no cut I can feel, but the blood is welling up regardless. "Mara," Lila's voice is small and terrified. "You're bleeding." I gently catch her hands as she tries to push the blanket onto my chest to stop the flow. "It's okay," I lie, my voice barely above a whisper. "It doesn't hurt." Her face crumples. "No, no, it's not okay. You're gonna..." She can't say the word, but a sob tells me enough. I gather her into my arms, ignoring the dizziness in my head and the weakness in my limbs. "Listen to me, Lila." I tip her chin up so she meets my eyes. I hope she can't see the fear in mine. "You're safe now. The crying lady is gone. I won't let anything happen to you, ever." But you're hurt," she whimpers. "Please don't leave me, Mara. Please, please." She's pleading, her fingers clutching desperately at my shirt. I can't hold back my tears. "I'll stay as long as I can, sweetheart," I promise, voice trembling. I brush a tear off her cheek, leaving a smear of blood there by accident. "You're such a brave girl. You did so good." I pull her into a tight hug, and she buries her face in my neck, crying. My vision is going fuzzy at the edges. Over her shoulder, something on the coffee table catches my eye. The VHS tape still half sticking out of the VCR. The pink sticker that had been scribbled out is now perfectly clear. The black mark covering it has vanished. And written in neat, bold letters is Mara. A faint, mirthless laugh escapes me. Of course. The Babysitter's Secret. My secret now. My name on that tape as the newest title, or perhaps the newest victim. A soft whisper brushes past my ear. "Thank you." It's her voice, the crying woman, but it's gentle, relieved. Then silence. My body feels lighter suddenly, the numbness turning into a floating sensation. I realise I can't feel Lila's weight in my arms anymore, or the couch beneath me. Everything is drifting. Lila's sobs sound farther and farther away. My eyes are still open, but darkness is creeping in at the edges of my sight. In that darkness, I swear I see the outline of the woman in white standing just beyond the doorway, holding the hand of a little toddler with curly hair. They're watching me silently. The woman bows her head in a final nod, almost respect, and then they're gone. "Mara? Mara!" Lila's panicked voice snaps me back for a second. Her face hovers in front of mine, blurry and blending with the brightening daylight behind her. I'm here," I try to say, but I'm not sure any sound comes out. My head slumps back against the couch. My gaze drifts to the front entry just as the door bursts open. Mrs. Mason stands there, rain-soaked and wide-eyed, Mr. Mason just behind. They rush in, calling my name, but I can't answer. I can only watch, detached. I feel Lila being pulled from my arms as Mrs. Mason wraps her in a hug, crying and asking frantic questions. Mr. Mason is kneeling before me, shouting something I can't hear. His hands go to my shoulders as if to shake me, but they pass right through and he nearly falls forward. It's then I realise I'm not on the couch anymore. I'm standing a few feet away, an invisible spectator to this scene. I look down and see my own body still slumped on the sofa, eyes closed, lips parted, blood staining my shirt, and yet here I stand, no longer part of that body. I turn my head and see Lila in her mother's arms, screaming and pointing at the couch. At me, or the me that was. Mrs. Mason rocks her, sobbing uncontrollably. Mr. Mason desperately checks for a pulse on my limp neck, then sinks back, face a mix of horror and sorrow. They can't see me watching. They think I'm dead or missing. In a way, both are true. Neither of them notices the television flicker on behind them, silent but showing a single frame. It's me, sitting on the couch with Lila earlier in the night, reading her a story. The image is grainy, like old tape footage. It's over in a second, replaced by static. They also don't see the VHS cassette on the table eject itself from the VCR. It lands with a plastic clatter. The pink label with Mara written on it faces up toward the ceiling. I drift closer to the TV, drawn as if by a magnet. My consciousness feels strange, stretched between the living room and that tape. Mr. Mason's anguished shouts to his wife, she's gone," are a dull murmur to me now. I catch a glimpse of myself in the blank, black TV screen. My face is there, hovering faintly in the glass. I reach out a hand and see the reflection of a hand reach back from inside the TV. Oh, I understand now. The tape. The question on it. "Will you help her?" I did, and now my part of the bargain. Lila's cries, the Masons weeping, the patter of rain, it all fades. All I hear is a soft crackle, like distant static. The last thing I feel is a strange sensation of being pulled backwards as if sinking into cool water. Darkness swallows me. On the coffee table, The VHS cassette gleams with an uncanny newness in the grey morning light. And if anyone were to look closely at the TV screen in that quiet moment, they might imagine they see the faint outline of a wide-eyed young woman within the static, her lips moving in silent, pleading desperation. Some houses hold memories. Others hold something that remembers you. And sometimes when you press play, you're not just watching the tape. The tape is watching you. Play only if she's crying. But what happens when the crying never stops?
Every story has an end, but here the mysteries never stop. Thank you for watching and being a part of this journey into the unknown. Your support keeps these stories alive, and there's plenty more waiting for you. We drop 3 new stories every week, so if you crave suspense, the unexplained and the downright chilling, make sure you're subscribed and ready for what's next. Until then, keep your lights on, your doors locked, and remember, some stories stay with you long after they're told.